All right, everybody. I want to thank y'all for tuning in tonight. We have got a great show lined up for you guys. There we go. I'm trying to get transitions going here. Anyways, we got a great show lined up for you guys. As y'all know, the title was How to Win Angler of the Year. And that's what it's going to be about. And to make that show, to make it just perfect, you got to have somebody that's won Angler of the Year. And we got our very own James Bush, who just won Angler of the Year through the Virginia Kayak Bass Challenge. We knew about it for a couple weeks now, but we didn't want to say nothing because Casey never really made it official. But James, congratulations, brother.
Thanks, man.
So I mean, I know Bass Cat Dave, he wanted to be the first, so he got you before I did. So good job, Bass Cat Little Dave. But now, man, I'm super proud that you got the AOY. I mean, you had one heck of a year. Consistency. That's all I can say to it. I mean, you knocked it out of the park. Every single tournament but one. But you totally redeemed yourself afterwards. So, but congratulations. But before we get into that, let's kind of just go over a couple of things that are coming up. We got this weekend, and then also an event that's coming up. I believe it's October 19th. It's the following weekend. But first is the OneObjective Pro's Choice Tournament. We got that coming up this Sunday. James, you got something on in the background, man? I can hear TV or something.
I do not think so. I will check.
but anyways, we got the OneObjective Pro's Choice tournament. We teamed up with Pro's Choice and just come together to try to have one big event. The problem was last year it was too many events. It was event all over the Smith Mountain Lake, and it's still like that, but we're just trying to cut it down a little bit. We only had like 10 or 12 people show up at ours. They had a little bit bigger turnout, but not as many as they would have liked. So we just teamed up, give everybody one central area to go. And we got 2 Sunday events, 2 Saturday events. All you got to do is fish 2 events to make it to the Classic. So the kickoff is, like I say, this Sunday. And, you know what? I don't have my time pulled up here, so bear with me on that one. I'll get back with you guys on the time. If not, you go on our Facebook. And I got it pinned to the top. It's got all the details for everything. And Pro's Choice on Facebook, too, also will have everything up. Also, the Virginia Kayak Bass Challenge Pro-Am charity event. It's a Heroes on the Water event. That's October 19th. If you have any questions, you can go onto that Facebook page, or you can get with Casey Reed or Brandon Overstreet. They're taking care of running everything, getting it all set up. They're doing a heck of a job trying to get these guys out on the water and get them some therapy time. We all know that fishing is therapeutic, for us. If you're having a bad week, it's always great to get on the water. If you're having some things going on in life, it's always great to get on the water. So I know me and James have talked about that before. Have a rough week, man, I got to get on the water. That's our therapy session. So they're still looking for, I think, some more volunteers for the pro side. So, guys, if y'all can get with them. Also, if you're wanting to sponsor the event, you got some things you want to give out for giveaways, like I said, get with Casey Reed or Brandon Overstreet and get hooked up with them. First off, what am I talking about? Another thing, check out all the sponsors. We got them scrolling at the top of the screen right now with Bonafide and Yak Attack, Accucoil, Falcon Rods, Ray Marine, Power Pole, Missile Baits. Guys, we got some really good products, good companies, and they've really helped us out a long ways through this show, getting through this show, building it what it is right now. So, also, you'll see on the left-hand side of your screen in the middle there some fish pictures coming through. This is our contest that we're running till October 31st, and it will be given out. We'll be picking a winner on Thursday, November 1st. For a little prize pack. So all you got to do is send in your personal best picture of your personal best bass. Some people have sent in some catfish because they don't have no bass, but we prefer bass, but we'll put your pictures up there either way. So anyways, try to get them in. Keep an eye up there, see if you see your picture. And there's some really giant fish that have been caught. And there's some dinks too. And if that's your personal best, hey man, congratulations. Keep working harder. Keep listening to our show. I'm just kidding. But you'll see what I'm talking about here in a little while. It's some dinks. It's some 8-inchers. But I think they're just trying to be funny. So, anyways, don't lean away from the mic. Sorry, man. But thanks, Casey. You always got our back. But anyways, guys, we got a great show lined up. Like I said, we was talking about it earlier with James and winning angle of the year. You can see down in the corner, look at that big old gigantic check he's got from Bonafide. Well, Casey's check, but Bonafide helped sponsor this event this year. They give away a brand new Bonafide SS 107. James, what do you think, man? We've always talked about, me and you when we was growing up, how it would be awesome to win a boat, and you finally did it. It's a kayak. It ain't a bass boat like we always was talking about, but it's a boat.
Yep, it's a boat.
That's right.
It's amazing. It's still kind of crazy that I won it, so I can't wait to get out there and maybe shoot a couple videos or something like that with it and go over a bunch of stuff of, how I got Angler of the Year and the lures that I used and everything like that. So it's kind of surreal still.
Yeah. This is a big deal for us, the pros, they got the elites and they got, that's their big deal. But for the Working Man series that Casey and them put on, this is kind of a big deal. And it don't matter what events that you fish, especially when you're fishing for points. It's always a big deal when you win. Me and you were fishing against each other in our club tournaments. It was a lot of times. It was me and you. And it was always a blast, Just me and you was always on our game trying to beat each other, and it was always fun. And to be able to compete beside you this year, we know it was still against each other, but we still helped each other out, when it come down to finding locations.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
All of that. So, but yeah, man, it was a heck of a year. Sometimes I look back at some of the events we had when you done really well on all of them, actually. But I look back and I'm like, what the freak, man? What is he doing different? What is I'm like, golly, but because you come through and fish that spot, and there's a couple of incidents I could name offhand. Right now we ain't gonna get into that yet, but that was just the right spot at the right time, and you took full advantage of it. So, but anyways, let's kind of talk about. I got 3 topics on how to win AOI, and it's all this goes together with how to put it all together. It sounds when you do a video or a show and we're saying how to win AOI. It's not that we're going to tell you exactly how to do it. You know what I mean? Like, this is just kind of things that worked out for James. And I think a lot of people put the same time in on some of this stuff. But I'm just going to kind of give you the 3 topics and then let you guys kind of get your questions together for James as we're going through. But 1 was control your variables. 2 was picking water. And mental preparedness. When you put all these 3 things together and everything lines up right and you put your time in with all 3 things, it's going to work out. It might not be every time, but it's going to work out. So let's just kind of put everything together, James. Let's start off with controlling your variables. Let's go into tackle. What are some things that you did this year when it come to prepping your tackle? What was some things that you kind of did, when it comes to like controlling the variables with, line and hooks and all that?
Yeah, I try to work on my stuff as much as possible. I'm a tinker, so I like to, dial in my baits and tweak with them and all that kind of stuff. I just want to make them my own. So I go through every bait that I think I'm going to throw for that weekend and make sure that everything is right with them. From hooks, if they look like they need to be changed, change the hooks out, put different hooks on. Throwing a crankbait that I have confidence in, but then throwing a crankbait with the right hooks on it, I have twice as much confidence in. So it's just little stuff that you do, making sure that your line is fresh and new for when you get on the water. I don't want to have to worry about, well, and how long has it been since I changed this line? If I feel like I'm going to be throwing a crankbait or a jig or a Texas rig, if I feel like that's going to be my main rod for the weekend, I will make sure I just go ahead and restring it, because I just feel more confident in it after the fact. Just making sure that everything that you have, like the chick tournament, I felt like, my wife was ticked that I had all my tackle on the table for 2 or 3 days, because I was just going through every single thing. I never tied on a different bait at the chick tournament. I didn't win that tournament. I placed third, and but I feel like I had everything the way that I wanted it. And I had a lot of rods with me, so I didn't have to retie a ton, but but I feel like I had the right ones out. With the Bonafide, I kept a lot of rods inside it all year long. So I'll probably, you picked the front of my boat up, how heavy it is.
I complain every time I pick it up.
So I feel like just prepping your tackle and feeling 100% confident in what you're throwing. And of course, you're going to have to change lures with them, throughout the day in certain situations, but I try to make sure I have my tackle the way I want it, each bait.
Yeah.
And you do the same stuff, don't you, Josh?
Yeah, I do. Sometimes I've caught myself being a little lazy this year. I ain't going to lie to you. But you saying that, I've gone out on the water thinking, God darn, I should have spent a little more time doing this, I'm not going to say it hurt me none this year. I've had some fish come off, but I've never really had nothing catastrophic, I guess. There was some things like, say, whopper plopper issues. I didn't change the hooks on, and I guess I can say that kind of hurt me a little bit, but look where I finished and look where you finished. You know what I mean? It's when it comes down to this sport and you want to be successful, you got to put your time in, on the water, off the water, and you did that. And we was kind of talking about the chick, and you said that you didn't win it, but you placed third. Now, going into this tournament, me and you were both talking. You did a lot of the math. You was like, man, I got to have a top 3 finish. So you knew going into this that everything had to be right. Everything had to be perfect, really. And you already knew what you wanted to throw. You did your homework. Like I say, we'll be talking about some of the other things, and this is kind of be going into that. But you did your homework. You figured out where you needed to fish, and you did what you need to do. And it all worked out. You got that third place finish, and it all worked out because you had no issues with tackle. You had confidence in the spot you were going, and you had confidence in everything you was throwing. You knew everything was right. And that kind of goes to the whole mental aspect of it, which we're going to talk about here in a little while. Once your tackle prep is right and you're confident in everything, your mental ability on the water is that much higher now. And you're able to get the job done, So, but yeah, like I say, tackle prep for anybody, that is the key to anything you do. Now, one thing I do like to do, and I don't know if you do this or not, this is something I like to do when it comes to tackle prep. When I go to my rods, we talked about your lures and your line. When I go to my rods, I like to get a Q-tip and just kind of go down a couple of the eyes from the tip down, and then from the bottom up, and just with a Q-tip, making sure I have no spots in the eye. That's kind of because we use braid sometimes, and it can cut a slot in your eye sometimes, depending on if you hang up on something and you're jerking on it, and you just got to be careful. And that's another thing that can cut your line. So I don't know, James, do you do that any?
Oh, I do it all the time. One of my reels, I've taken it apart and greased it 3 times this year. You know, most of the time I would never do that many times. So I feel like I've prepared more this year than I probably ever have on a lot of the stuff that I did. So, checking your rods, make sure in your eyes, and every time that you catch a fish, you need to check your line.
Yeah.
I mean, that is key. Or just even throwing it. If you're throwing it where you should be throwing it, I like to beat the bank. So if I'm beating the bank so many times between a certain amount of casts, I'm just going to run my hand down probably as, when I go to just feel it, and I'm going to feel down that line for, 3 feet or so, probably every 10 to 15 casts just to make sure that it feels good. I don't do that as much on crankbaits and stuff like that, but if I'm throwing worms and jigs and stuff like that, if I'm pitching it in places where I feel like I'm going to get bit, you don't want to lose a fish like that in a brush pile or anything like that if you can help it.
Yeah.
So you don't want to be making 100 casts before you ever check your line.
Exactly.
Because I did retie a ton. And having everything close to you so that you can do all this, and having your kayak set up so you can retie and it doesn't take a lot of time. Because if you had to fumble through a bunch of stuff, you don't retie like you would. And that's what I used to do. I try to keep my pliers and my scissors and everything right there with me. So it's just, you can cut your lure off, retie it, and it's less than a minute.
Yeah.
If you have everything near you. So it's not like you lose a lot of time, but if you're only going to get 5 or 6 bites during the day, that minute that you took to retie really isn't nothing, considering you just went out there and spent 8 to 10 hours on the water.
Exactly.
And missed the fish because you broke one off.
Yep. And that's what I was going to say earlier, if you didn't say it, but you said it, is having everything where it's at. Organization. Now, if you ever looked at our bass boats when we fish together, heck, sometimes my kayak gets like that. But my tools, I still always put them in the exact same spot every time. I got a pair of snips that are on a little leash that pulls itself right back down to the junk drawer I got. So, like you said, having everything right there at hands reach, arms reach, so you can quickly cut it, tie it, and redo it. You're, like I say, in a minute, you're ready to go. So that's key. That's big time key. James, what are some things that you do this year when it comes down to, like say, we talked about it just a second ago, but your boat, making sure everything's right. What are some things that you kind of check over before you get out on the water a couple days before, just to make sure everything's prepared and you ain't got nothing to worry about?
Mainly, I just make sure like that if you got your trolling, you're not your trolling motor, but your power pole, that you have your power pole batteries charged, your fish finder batteries charged if you're going to use it. Just kind of go over the whole kayak. I always like to wash mine because I just feel like I'm preparing, because then you can clean it out and you kind of start over. It's not like you can put so much stuff in your kayak anyway.
Yeah.
So if you clean it all out and you start fresh and you're packing it for that, for that tournament, I feel like you're preparing. So you're kind of putting everything where it should be, and everything like that. Knowing where everything's at, always putting everything back where it should go. And just mentally preparing yourself by doing that.
Now, if anybody's ever looked at James's kayak up close, and when James says cleans out his kayak, that right there is a job in itself. If you've ever looked at James's junk drawer. I remember we come into the, Shenandoah. I got up here a little late, and you were in your trailer getting things ready, and you had your junk drawer out. And I was like, is that your junk drawer? He's like, yeah. I'm like, my gosh. Like, I thought mine was a mess. Mine's a mess. James is not really a mess. It's organized, but it is so much stuff. And that if you flip that kayak over, you will lose $300 out of that junk drawer easy. Everything in that junk drawer is gone.
Yeah, that would. Yeah. Yeah, it's yeah, I keep a lot of stuff in there, man. I love that junk drawer. I don't know what I would do without it.
I know.
No, yeah. If I ever flipped it over, I'd be in trouble. Yeah, I probably got as much money in the junk drawer as the whole kayak cost between.
Well, it's just us coming out from the bass boat side. You know, we always had a little box, you know, like your middle box on yours. Mine, I had a little day box. I can't remember if yours had a day box or not, but had like a little day box, and that was like full of junk, but it was everything you used, you know. What is little? Oh, sorry, I was reading through this one thing. Sorry, I'm reading through some things here, but yeah. So I mean, just keep it like say you go through and you restock and you make sure everything's right, and you know if you're out of brush hogs, you're out of baby destroyers, you're out of whatever crankbaits. You know then what you got and what you don't have, and if you do things within a week prior to the tournament, it gives you time to get restocked back up. So that's a good thing when you go over your boat. Make sure everything's perfect, like say with your tackle. So I mean, you can have all your tackle perfect.
Yeah, it always feels like you have to buy something.
Yeah, we always got to.
You know.
Yeah, even if you know you got 5 packs of destroyers left, you still feel like you got to go get more. I could run out. You know, that's what you think. I could run out. Feeling all optimistic and thinking you're going to really sack them, you know. But
yeah,
that's kind of, you know, we've gone with the tackle and the boat, but let's kind of go into your vehicle. You know, that's just basic stuff, checking oil, checking tires, stuff like that. I mean, you know, granted, we pull trailers, bigger trailers, enclosed trailers, so it's a lot more to what we're doing too as well. We got to go through all our trailer prep. But James, do you kind of go in and make sure you got, you know, extra stuff in your trailer? What do you kind of go through to make sure everything's right in your trailer?
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, pretty much I've kind of transitioned my whole bass boat into my trailer at this point.
Yeah.
And I can't wait till this winter where I can actually go in and add more stuff. And after using it for the first year, I know some stuff that we need to add. And to make things easier, more storage. You know, I mean, but I feel like I had everything that I needed in there. I try not to put too much extra stuff in there, but by the time we got to the end of the year, I feel like I have way too much stuff in my kayak. I mean, in my trailer. You know, you don't really need more than a couple bags at a time.
Yeah.
So, but I feel like I've probably got 10 bags of each different color worm and everything like that in there now.
Well, so it's good to be prepared.
Definitely needs a cleaning.
Yeah. Well, it's like I say, we'll be doing, for everybody listening, it's kind of just tuning in too. You know, me and you've been talking about doing a video on the progress of our trailers, you know. We're going to be tearing down through this winter and rebuilding pretty much, insulating and getting it where it's comfortable to be in. I mean, they're fine now, but just making it just a little more comfortable, a little easier to store things and making it a little bit more storage. So be kind of on the lookout for that. And we'll have some videos out on James's and on mine on our trailer setup. So, and then James, we got to get you to do one on your bona fide you got now, not the one you just won, but your tournament boat, and do your setup.
Yeah.
Everybody's seen my setup. We got to get you on so everybody can see James's junk drawer and everything that he has in his junk drawer, and you can see why his kayak weighs about 500 pounds more than mine. But but let's kind of get out of controlling the variables. And like I say, I'm going to repeat it again. when you take the steps for each step here, even if you got to take a piece of paper and write down, a list. Let's say before you got a special room where all your tackle's at, and just write on the board, control your variables, and then you can put tackle, truck, boat, however you want to do it, and just make sure you go through all them steps to make sure everything's right, because sometimes if you just rush off, it can make, if you don't do the homework at home, when you get on the water, it kind of makes for a bad day sometimes if you don't have everything right. Break rods, you break line, you lose big fish. It kind of ruins the day for fishing. We all know we want to get out there and just have fun, be successful at it, and hopefully at the end of the day come home with a win. So if you kind of just go over that check sheet, hey man, all my reels are right, all my rods are right, my line, my tackle, all my hooks are right. Okay, let me go over my boat, make sure everything that I'm going to need extra of is in there, all my tools are in there, and the little things I might need to change up to later for plan B, C, D, E, F, and G. And then, make sure your tow vehicle's right, because if your tow vehicle ain't right, you ain't getting to the water anyways. Or if you had a bad day on the water and you're trying to get home and your tow vehicle ain't right, then you ain't getting home. It just makes that day even worse. So go through that and get that part right. Let's go on to picking water, James. What was some of the keys when it comes to picking water this year? Because we had 3 river events. We had Smith Mountain Lake. We had Chickahominy, Chesden, which I know you didn't make that. Like, you didn't make that one. That was you got sick on that one. What was the other lakes we had? Was that Smith Mountain? Well, we had Chesden, Smith Mountain, James River, Shenandoah, New River. Man, I'm having a brain fart here, but Casey, if you're listening, chime in at any time. But when it comes to picking the waters, James, what were some keys? Because some of the spots we took off where, actually really one of them was where everything was going off at. So, we use Google. We use our phones. And the good thing about this, and I'll let you talk, James. I won't be a mic hog no more. But the good thing about this, especially like I got 2 work phones. Well, I got my regular phone, and I have a work phone for my job. One's a Samsung, one's an iPhone. And believe it or not, if you go on and look at their mapping on mine, sometimes it's through the winter on one, and the other one is summer pictures. So I'll kind of compare those, but then I'll get on Google Earth and look at some things, and you can go back date, so you can try to look for some low water times where you can see structure in the water. But James, when it comes to picking water, though, what were some things? Oh, thanks, Casey. I did get them all. Okay, thank you. What were some things that you looked for when picking the right body of water?
I mean, it all depends on where you're at. If you're in a river and stuff like that, depending on if it's a ton of current. The Chick is totally different to me, depending on when the tide's going to be out, or if it's high tide or low tide. So we had a bunch of different types of tournaments this year, which I really liked, because you had tidal water, you had rivers, you had the lake. So you just really just kind of got to break it down and find stuff that you like to fish. And that's what I did. I just kind of looked at places, found places that I thought and that I had thought that I would get confidence in, because a lot of these places I had never fished before. Even bodies of water that I have fished my whole life, I had never fished before. At Smith Mountain Lake, I had never fished that part of Smith Mountain Lake before.
Oh yeah, Magnum Point. And, yeah, I've never been up there either. That was kind of new.
Yeah, and then when I'm up there, there was a bass hook tournament going on too, and I was actually seeing people fishing the bass hook tournament that I knew.
Yeah.
So now I learned places where they were going. So, and it was actually a really good area.
Yeah.
But we just fished right there at the boat ramp, and we just went fishing.
Yep.
There, we had looked all around and everything like that, and it just looked like it had creeks. It was summertime, so we were looking for spawning fish. It was kind of, there was still a few spawning fish, so we were kind of looking for those. And, I was trying to catch those post-spawn bass. So, you just got to have confidence in where you go.
Yeah.
I like fishing in current if I'm in a regular river. And at the chick and stuff like that, low tide is the tide. That just comes from experience. Luckily I had fished a chick a couple times. Because tidal water can be funny, if you've never fished it before. But it can also be some of the best fishing that you've ever had in your life if you catch the right current. Like you got it when it was starting to pull out again right at the very end of the day. And you started catching them like one after the other right there at the very end, didn't you, Josh?
Yeah, it was that was a crazy event for me because I remember when we put in that morning, I'm still paddling in my spot, which I was a little late getting in. I'm going to say like 15 minutes, 20 minutes, something like that. And it's like, what, 6:00? I can't remember what time we could have first fish in. I don't know. I'm just going to name a number on 6:00, 6:30, something like that. So I'm a little late getting in. I can see the spot I want to start, and I'm kind of picking my rod out and getting that straight, and I'm paddling a little bit, messing with my lure, and James calls, "Hey, man, I got 2." I'm like, "What the freak, man? We just started." Okay, cool, man. That's good because I knew you needed third, so I'm rooting for you. I'm like, man, if he gets third and I win it, it's cool. That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking. I'm like, that's all right. But dang, I ain't going to win if he's already got 2 fish in front of me right now. So I go on and I probably make 3 casts. I get a little bite on a Texas rig, and James called, "Man, I got a limit." I'm like, what the freak? You just called me. So, and then we fished some more, and I see the phone ring, and I'm like, I ain't picking that up. That's James. I don't want to hear what else he's caught. And he called me, "Man, I didn't call one out, man. They're bashing this buzzbait right now." And I'm like, God, mighty, that's what I'm throwing. I'm catching dinks. I'm catching 10 inchers, and I'm like, screw it. This is what I got. So, I'm taking pictures, but I ain't putting them on the thing yet. And but as the day went on, I think James called me and he called what'd you catch, a 21 inch?
A 20 and a half or 20 and a quarter.
Yeah. I'm like, well, dang. I'm kind of out of this tournament now. I'm just shooting for top 10 now. That's what I'm thinking. I'll be happy with a top 10. But as that day went on and the tide come in and it got high, that's when it got good. That's when it started getting good for me. I caught a 15 or 16 incher on a buzzbait. I started kind of getting on a spinnerbait bite. And then when the tide started coming out, I found a little spot where the tide was kind of pulling around a bend. And I just hammered him right after another. Lost 2 or 3 18-inch fish. Got one in the boat. Caught a couple more 15, 16s. Called out my little 10s. But, kind of getting to it, that's how fast it happens on those tidal waters. And you picked a whole different – I wanted to stay away from you this time. Most time we fish, we put in the same spot. And, we're like line buddies, in high school. You had your little line buddy. That's me and James. We put in the same spot, and we fish the same stuff. And we just fish around and talk, have a good time. And but on that last event, I didn't want to be around you, and not because I didn't want to see you catch fish. I wanted you to have all the fish that you could get, and that way I can kind of do my thing. If I was catching them good, I didn't want that in your mind. But also, I didn't want to be around you if you're catching really good, and then I'm like, crap, here I am trying to win, and he's catching really good. So it was the last tournament. We both had a lot on the line trying to make national championship. I was, and you were trying to win AOI. So we kind of stayed apart. You picked out your water, and I picked out mine. James, what was about that spot though that when it comes to picking that perfect spot, what were you looking at? What things were you looking for on the map to say, man, this is the spot that I think I can catch them?
It had channel swings. and it had multiple of them very close together. So I knew I didn't have to paddle far to fish them. So I just found me a spot like that. I just pretty much looked at the river and found one that was closest to a boat ramp that had the most channel swings, and I just paddled between those. And as fast as I could, I was like running spots like you would in a bass boat. Yeah, I mean, it was, I just went into the main part of the channel swing. I made some casts. My first 2 fish came in the second channel swing the first channel swing that I was in. Well, no, it was the second. It was the second channel swing that I was in, and I cast it out there. Boom, I catch a 16-incher, a little over 16 or something. And then my very next cast, I caught 118. And then, then it died in that spot. So I'm just like, I'm cranking up the gas motor now, and I'm just paddling like crazy to the next hole. And, then I went to the next hole, and I ended up catching, I think, 1 more. And then I hit it to the next one and ended up catching, I think, 2 more there, and finished out my limit. And then I actually worked my way right back through them and, caught a couple more fish. Really nothing that helped. And then later on that day, I was still fishing in the same area just because, I felt like they were still there. And, just was pitching a Texas rig around and ended up catching a 20-incher. And just got very fortunate for landing into that big fish, but it just worked out.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just need to be lucky.
That's right. A little bit of a lot of prep and determination and a little bit of luck. You know what I mean? And it goes a long way. So
yeah,
and you kind of talk.
I wanted to add,
Go ahead.
Eating and drinking is a big deal too.
Yeah. Keeps your energy
snacks
up.
That you can eat that are good for you. Because we had Shannon Wheeler one time was talking to us, because they, on the Elite Series and stuff like that, they will actually have a nutritionist that come with them, and we can't afford to do that. But I mean, there's so many power bars and protein bars and stuff like that you can eat now that can, because as you're paddling to a spot, if you've got something with you, like I keep mine right in the compartment where I keep my tags, the little front compartment of my Bonafide, I'll keep a couple snacks, because when I open it up, even when I'm just getting your identifier out, you'll see it and you'll be like, man, I'm hungry now. Just seeing it will make you eat, and you don't want to get burned out and you don't want to get dehydrated either. So you just need to make sure that you're eating and drinking, because you're going to think a whole lot more clearly. And I know it's hard. When you get in tournament mode, you don't even want to do anything that's going to take time away from making another cast.
Yeah.
But having those little snacks that you can, I'm a fruit snack fanatic. If you ever go fishing with me, I'm probably going to have fruit snacks.
That's why I stay around James.
I'm not saying that that's good for you, but I'm just saying that it is good to have them.
Look, it's Welch's.
It's just something that you can snack on. Yeah, I mean, they're fruit.
Yeah.
They're Welch's. So
it's 100% fruit. It says it on the box, so whatever. It's good for you. But
yeah, but I think that helps a lot too. Is just being able to have something that you can snack on. I'm not the kind of guy that's probably going to stop and eat a whole sandwich, but
no.
I will eat a little something.
Well, that's just kind of
pouring down rain here now.
Oh yeah, it's that storm come through earlier, man. Y'all are getting hammered now, and it's been a lot of flooding going on here around Roanoke and Lynchburg, and I don't know about Bedford. I don't think Bedford got a lot of flooding, but I know Roanoke and Lynchburg has. So everybody that's in the path of this storm, our prayers go out with you, because I've seen some stuff on Facebook with people's basements and You know, and granted, we're not even getting as bad as what they did down there at the Panhandle of Florida. So, lots of prayers going out with them people. So, but yeah, kind of talking about the, the eating. I noticed, when we went to, was it Shenandoah? Yeah, it was Shenandoah we went to. I noticed I got up there and we pulled our boats up. We were wading around that area. You don't realize how much energy you're using paddling. And when you get up there and you start wading, because then all of a sudden it's all your leg muscles and ab muscles and stuff like that trying to stay up, or falling. So you're using a lot of energy. And I noticed when I come back, I was actually coming back to measure a fish, and I kind of slipped. And when I went to catch myself, I charley horsed real bad in my calf, and it was dehydration. Because when you're in the water wading, you don't realize that you're actually getting dehydrated because you feel kind of cool. So, like you say, and kayaking I think it's a lot worse than the bass boat side because you're using so much energy paddling and, if you got a pedal drive, you're pedaling, So, I mean, you're burning a lot of that energy that you need for the fishing part too. So, like James said, it's good to have some good healthy snacks. It's all right to have a little bit of junk food here and there, a little Debbie here and there to kind of just get you that sugar. But good healthy stuff, Gatorade, water, peanuts, stuff like that, protein stuff to get you going. So I'm glad you brought that up. That's a good point there. So let's kind of go into Shenandoah and New River. Me and you got on the phone. We talked. We picked we thought New River was a good spot, but we picked some spots that looked really good. Now, when we go and looking in rivers, we're trying to look for stuff that a lot of people are not trying to get to. They don't want to put the work in to get to because it's a lot of work. I ain't going to lie to you, man. Me and James have put some time in and burnt some calories on these river events. But Shenandoah, what was the key thing that me and you talked about that we were looking for? Because when we went into the James River, we got first and second. So when we went into Shenandoah, there was some key stuff that we were looking for on the maps. Then, can you kind of elaborate on that, James, of what we were looking for?
Well, we were looking for somewhere where we didn't think people would go.
Yeah.
For one.
Yeah.
Making those long paddles, upriver to just get away. And just looking for current and really the main thing was just go ahead.
I'll say, he's talking about current. We're just looking for spots with lots of rock. All rivers got current, but you're looking for those spots where you got where the smallmouth love the juice. Where the smallmouth live. Which was weird about the Shenandoah because we were targeting smallmouth, and James placed. Was you second in that one, Shenandoah? Second or third?
Yeah, I think I was second.
Yeah, second in that one, and it was all largemouth. You didn't have no smallmouth on there, did you?
Nope, it was all largemouth.
That was a totally different river, man. It threw me for a loop, and I'm targeting smallmouth, which we were throwing the same stuff pretty much, except towards the end you kind of changed up on some other things. But if we'd have known that we was going to be primarily chasing largemouth, we would have probably looked at that river a little bit different, and fished a little bit different than we would like we did the whole day trying to get a big smallmouth bite. So that's some stuff you stumbled across towards the end of the day. But that's what we were looking for. We were looking for them hard-to-get spots that had a lot of current that we knew we was going to have to drag our boats. And we knew it was going to be a grind. And at the end of the day, we knew we were going to be beat up and tired. But it's you're throwing all your eggs in one basket, and you're hoping that everything works out.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's...
Yeah, I mean, those fish up...
Go ahead.
Some of the fish up there that we ended up catching, they were like in wolf packs, like I had talked about, because I was catching them down here in the lakes that I had found in wolf packs.
Yeah.
But up there, I just kind of was, I think I caught 2 in one spot. and I caught another 2 in another spot earlier that day, and all of them are largemouth. And I think I caught my last fish that helped cull me up was like the last 5 minutes that we were in the water.
Yeah.
And, you know, we were floating back down away from our other spot, which I caught 3 of my better fish in a whole lot shorter period of time than we did the rest of the day. So, you know, but it's just paying attention to where when you catch a fish, you need to dissect why was that fish there and pay very close attention, because they are telling you something.
Yeah.
Every time you get a bite.
Yep. And sometimes you can change up so you can catch one on a crankbait, bringing it through there, and then you don't get another bite, and you flip a text rig over and you catch another one. You know, so granted, it might be a little difficult on baits, you know, and you kind of go into a junk fishing mode, but it could just be that type of structure they're holding on, you know. So that's some things you kind of got to look at too on when you're picking that right location, and because when you know, kind of getting back on the track a little bit, because we was kind of dissecting each event, but we had to a little bit to kind of go in what we was talking about. But if you pick your right location, you're going to have the confidence in that spot. You know, if you go into it and you get on the water and you're like, man, this is exactly what I was looking for, it's confidence, and confidence is a mental thing, you know. So everything we're talking about right now is leading into a mental thing here. Now, when we kind of went to New River, that was a botch for us. I mean, we didn't even have no big fish on.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't lose no fish really. And we were in class 4 and 5 rapids. You know, it should have been monster smallmouth there. But I think that problem with that area was it was blown out the week before, or the week of going there, you know, because we were watching the water heavily to even see if we was ever going to be able to fish that spot, because the water was still kind of up. And it was dirty. And it just didn't. Me and you both had a horrible, horrible event there. So that was kind of but it was the exact same stuff that we've been looking for everywhere else. We just couldn't find it nowhere else on that river in that short of an area. You know, everywhere else you just got to fish it, paddle down, fish it some more, paddle down, fish it some more. So it just, but we know next year going into that spot sucked. So probably better find something else. But
yeah, I mean, that spot right there, I think it was more of a community hole than we thought.
Yeah.
We thought it was something that would be a whole lot harder for people to fish. It ended up being a campground, and everybody was wading it. So it was just the wrong area, and that just comes from, you know, you're not going to pick the right spot every time you go.
No.
So, but all you can do is just try, and I just feel like it almost felt like it's fished out.
Yeah. I mean,
so many people fishing it the day that we were there. It was crazy.
I mean, we pulled in, and what time was it, James? It was probably like 8:30. I'd already gone to a little grub trying to get a lemon out real quick with 10-inch little bass, you know, which I got it quick. But, you know, in these tournaments, 10-inch bass ain't going to get you nowhere good. Not with the caliber guys that fish Casey, the Virginia Kayak Bass Challenge. There's some good guys in there, you know, so you got to look for them spots where you're going to have big fish. And like James said, you're not going to get it every time. You're going to struggle a little bit. I know for Lake Chesden, first time I ever fished that lake, and I put in at the lower end, and the reason why I put in at the lower end, I love dragging a Carolina rig, and it was March. Was it March or April? It was almost April, or it was April. I can't remember. But it was the beginning of April if it was. So fish are pulling up on beds. But I also know that when the fish are pulling up on beds, you still got a lot of late spawners that are still out on the point. So I was trying to hit those fish that a lot of people wasn't looking for. So when I looked at the map, I knew everybody was going up the lake or putting in at the ramp. And I think it was me and Shane and one other guy, Shane Amos, that put in at the lower end. And all I needed was 2 more 10-inch fish, man. And that would have put me up there in the top top 5, top 3, something like that. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I had a couple of decent fish, and all I was doing was dragging the Carolina rig out, but it was real windy that day, so I was going up above a point, casting out, and just popping it off the rocks. Just every time I kind of feel like it was hitting a rock, I'd pop it, and that's how I was catching them. But all that come with, I was looking for points. I love fishing points with the Carolina rig. When I'm in a bass boat in that time of year, I'm running points. So that part of the lake looked good. And that's the thing, when you get in some of these spots, you ride or die. You got to figure them out in that area. That's like me and you was talking about earlier today with a bass boat. You fished with Greg Vick on the English Choice, and you said sometimes maybe we should have stayed in that spot a little longer. We've kind of gotten that kayak mentality now where we can stay in a spot and maybe figure them out in one spot. But when you got that big 200, 250 on the back, you're like, oh, man, I got another spot. Let's just go. So it's easier to do it. But
yeah.
Let's kind of.
Well, you're fishing memory. You fish memory instead of fishing the spot.
Yeah, fishing memory and not fishing the moment, and what they're doing right now. So, I mean, you hear Mike Iaconelli and them say it. You hear a lot of pros say it, fish in the moment. Don't fish the past. Sometimes it works out. Not going to say it don't. But you just got to be able to make those adjustments from what you were doing in the past, and just making it work. So let's kind of get to the last topic here. We said we was going to do this show for about 45 minutes. Boom, we're at 52 minutes. So let's kind of get into the last part, and that's being mentally prepared. And that everything we just talked about is mentally preparing. All your stuff's right. Everything you did, everything in your power to control the variables. So now it's just a little bit of luck on your side, and being mentally ready for that tournament. So I don't even know what much more to say about that except for the fact that, get all your stuff right. You got your good water that you feel confident in. You're mentally prepared. Now,
yeah, I mean, you just need to prepare throughout the whole thing, like we talked about with your vehicle. You don't want to have problems with your vehicle on your way there, because then it messes your head up while you're there. I mean, we've had issues like that before. That's why we even thought about that.
Yeah,
making sure that you're going to eat right throughout the day. Not just eating junk the whole time. Have your stuff that's going to make so you don't get dehydrated. Making sure your tackle is
also
prepared,
one thing. Didn't mean to interrupt you there, but before the tournament, also eating right. You don't want to be up in the woods with a roll of toilet paper because you ate Mexican the night before. So I'm always cautious about what I eat before I go on any fishing tournament. At least 2 days before.
Oh yeah.
So
well, I've had an incident this year where I came out of the woods with one sock. So
he fought a good battle. Lost a good one.
Yep. Yeah. So you got to do what you got to do sometimes.
That's right.
Yeah.
But let's get away from that one before me and you run with that, because we can run with that conversation for a long ways. But yeah, just being mentally prepared. When you go into the tournament, and James has caught me doing this before. Man, I just hope we can find them. That's what I say. James like, man, we're gonna get them. We're gonna win it. We're gonna do good. And that's what I like about it, because you kind of get me back up. All right, man. I need to. Chris said no moon pies. Come on, man. Moon pies are good. Tell him, James.
Oh gosh, don't get me started. Moon pies. I eat moon pie every day.
Chris said it's like eating cardboard with some whipped cream in the middle of it or something. Some chocolate on it. Yeah. You don't know what you're missing, Chris. But anyways, going into the event, you gotta know that you got a chance at it. When you step foot in that kayak and push off from the bank, you need to know right then that I'm going to win this thing. You need to have that mentality, because if you come in and be like, man, I just hope I can catch a fish, you've lost it right there. you just lost the tournament. That's kind of been my thing. It's been your thing. Sometimes I don't carry it as long as I should, and you're always there to kind of say, hey man, we're going to do it. So it's always good to have a good teammate as well. We compete against each other, but you're still kind of like a teammate. We travel together and we put our heads together to try to figure these fish out. So but we was talking about like the side pot that Casey was doing, and this ain't, I'm not pointing nobody out, I'm not picking on nobody, I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying, when Casey does the side pot, we always put in it. It's just something he just started here in the last couple of events. But to me, I mean, you both have talked about it. If you don't have the money to put in a side pot, that's a whole different story. That doesn't mean that you're not thinking you're going to win. But I always suggest putting in a side pot, because if you're not putting in it, you don't think you can win it, you're not going to win the tournament. If you're scared of losing that money in the side pot, then why fish a tournament? Because you've got yourself mentally prepared to lose.
Yep.
I mean, we've talked about that several times. There it is.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you're mentally already took yourself out of first place.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
But maybe it's just a mental thing for me. If you don't feel that way, then don't do it. But to me, it makes me feel like I'm not fishing for first.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's different strokes for different folks.
That's right.
Mentally, I feel like if I don't do it, I'm just fishing for second.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to win just like you are. And, when I go in there, I think everybody's got a chance. You know what I'm saying? But
Yep.
you just got to have confidence in yourself that you're going to go out there and we'll get on them.
Yep.
So
that's exactly right. Just being mentally prepared, being positive with yourself. That's a big thing. And if you ain't positive with yourself and your ability, not being mean or nothing like that, don't put in a tournament. Get out there and just do some more fishing, and then start getting back into tournaments if you don't feel confident enough. And some people just like to do it, and it's just good camaraderie and all that. And I get it, man. It's and it ain't all about the money, but like I say, if I'm putting into the tournament, I'm trying to fish to win, and I kind of take it that serious. But and like side pot thing, like I say, if you ain't got the money, that's one thing. I get it. Sometimes these events can get expensive. James, you've traveled 3 and 4 hours to some of these events. So, I mean, that can get a little expensive. But sometimes your boss lady don't want you to spend no more money, So, but it's just a confidence thing. When you push off from the bank, you need to be ready to know that you're going to win this thing. Now, as the day goes on at 1 and 2 o'clock, you're kind of like, oh, crap, I could lose it. But don't ever give up, because that happened to me at, like I say, Chickahominy. I started catching them. I thought I was out of it. And then I started catching them. So I still wasn't in it.
Well,
but
yeah, well, I'll tell you this. At this past tournament at the Angler's Choice, we caught one fish the first day. And we caught that, I think, about 10:30. Second day, we didn't get a true bite until it was either 10 till 1 or 10 after 1. I can't remember. It was one of those. And we didn't have a fish in the boat until then. And we caught the first one, and I caught it. It was probably 6 inches long, was the first fish. Then after that, things just turned on. Within 40 or 50 minutes, we had 4 fish in the boat for 10 pounds. So, I mean, like Mike Iaconelli says, never give up. I mean, because it is absolutely the truth.
Yeah.
You could stumble across something and it will turn on for you in a heartbeat. But you go through some ups and downs in tournaments.
Yeah.
And yeah, like you were saying, I feel like sometimes this year, you you kind of push yourself down some before you ever start the tournament.
Yeah.
And and I'm like, dude, you can't even think like that. You got to stop thinking like that.
Yeah.
Stop being negative right from the jump. So
that's right.
And it's so important, in my opinion.
Yep.
So, but like I said, everybody's different. So
yeah,
you got to do what you feel is right.
That's exactly.
But if you
right.
don't feel good about it, then something's wrong.
Yeah, exactly. You need to figure out why I don't feel right, and then go from there. But guys, that's kind of, that is part of winning AOI. It's all about preparedness when it comes to controlling your variables, when it comes to picking your locations, and all that rolls into mental preparedness. So that's how you win AOI. Not saying you're going to win it every year, but you're going to have a good start on it, and you're going to control those variables, and by the end of the year, man, I did everything that I possibly could do. It just wasn't my time, and that's just how it goes. I mean, it ain't nothing more you can do. That's how it was for me this year. I had some opportunities to do okay, not say win them, but place better than I did. But we all do. We all have those tournaments, and we all miss fish. We all lose big fish. But I know looking into it that most of every tournament I did everything I could, and I fished to my strongest ability, and it just didn't happen. And that's just how it goes sometimes. So you just got to be prepared for that as well. You got to get over that bad tournament. Look at New River. Terrible event. Probably one of the worst events we've had all year long. Next event was Chickahominy. You've got a third place. I think I got a 6th or something like that out of 30-some. Every tournament Casey had was 30-some people in it. So, it wasn't like you were fishing against 6 guys. It was a good amount of people in each one.
Yeah, I mean, it's some really good fishermen in there, and to me, it's a big deal to have won the Angler of the Year in here, and I feel privileged that I got to meet everybody, and it worked out.
Yeah, there's a bunch of good guys. Casey, Brandon, y'all have done one hell of a job getting this series where it is right now. And Brandon, I know you've helped out a lot with getting the sponsors, and Casey just making sure it was fair for everybody across the board. I ask a lot of questions. Me and James both ask a lot of questions, and you was able to answer them and get it straight for us. And we're new to it, so you was able to help us out. So y'all did a good job, and I hope that next year it doubles even more with more guys fishing in the kayak series. So I think if y'all keep doing what you're doing, it's going to grow into a big series, as it already is. So, James, I don't have no more to talk about. James, I know we were getting some hats ordered. Were we getting enough ordered so we could put on our website?
We should be.
Okay.
Yes, and hopefully I'll have them in another week or so, is what I'm hoping.
Okay, so keep an eye out on those guys.
I'll probably try to. I might give her a call tomorrow.
Okay.
So.
Keep your eye out on the website, and we'll be posting on Facebook and Instagram and all that. Also, we had Bass Cat Dave earlier asking about where to post the pictures. If you're on Facebook or Instagram, you can send them. I don't even post this contest on Instagram. We had so many entries on our on Facebook. I was like, man, I don't know if I can put any more fish pictures up there. We can. It's just so many entries. I think I put 100 and some on there the other day. So, but thank you so far to everybody that has entered in the contest. We got a great little prize pack we're gonna give away. The next show, I think we're gonna pick a random winner, and that's in our chat messaging box. So next week we're gonna pick a random winner for a little special prize pack. Just thanking everybody for watching our show and listening, and we really appreciate everybody. Listen to our iTunes, they go on our Blog Talk, Stitcher, on YouTube. Please, guys, if you can, share these videos with your buddies or on any forums that you go on. Helps us out getting some more views and getting out there and like I say, making the show a little bit better. I'll be going out this weekend doing some filming. Sunday, me and Chris are going to get together before the tournament, and then we'll be over there at the tournament helping with weigh-in with guys from Pro's Choice, Matt and them. So we're going to do some filming. We've got some technique videos coming out. We've had a lot of people asking about technique videos. We're going to be doing some, hopefully catching some fish while we do it. And then we got some trailer videos. James, you got your Bonafide. So, guys, if you haven't subscribed yet, please go hit the subscribe button. Hit that bell button beside it so when all our new videos come out, y'all will get the notification. Plus, I think y'all get a notification when I set up a show to go live in the following days or so. So, kind of gives you a heads up. So, our next show, please tell your friends to come on, get in the chat room, do some questions, make some comments, and we're going to pick a random winner next week for our show. So, other than that, I don't have nothing else to add to that, James. You got anything?
No, sir. I think we're good to go.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody, for tuning in.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Go check out all our sponsors. You can go on the if you go on the bottom of the page here on our YouTube channel, we got links to all our sponsors, so please go check them out. And if you got any questions on setting up kayaks or setting up different techniques, feel free to message us on Facebook at OneObjective. You can also email us at oneobjectivebf@gmail.com. We've gotten several questions on how to set up a jig setup or how to spinnerbait, or we get some of these questions. So, or if you want to message us or comment on some of our videos, just let us know, guys. We'll point you in the right direction and help you out to catch more fish. So, other than that, I have nothing else to add, guys. Y'all have a great night. Everyone in the path of the storm, stay safe. James, I hope this thing comes over quickly and y'all don't get no flooding and no more tornado warnings. And
yeah, I hope so too.
yeah, and if y'all get out this weekend and do some fishing, you get some fish pics, send them to us, guys. We love to see them. Y'all have a great night. We will talk to you guys later.
Good night.